Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I just wanted to do a quick review of a knife that's coming and passing through my collection relatively quickly, and that is the Custom Knife Factory Sukhoi 3.0. And when I saw this guy come out, I was pretty excited, honestly, because it looked really cool, and I'll show you guys why in a second. But first, I want to just kind of talk about CKF, or Custom Knife Factory. They are a company out of Russia, Moscow specifically, that pretty much they made their works. All of their knives are collaborative works with like big name designers like Peter Rosenti. They make a kind of a production model of his Satori and Snafu, and they work with other guys. I think well, this one specifically is Anton Malashev, and he does it seems like he's made a couple other very popular production knives, and they also work with like Tough Knives, with the Switch, which is their model, and other ones that I just can't think of off the top of my head. And their packaging is very impressive, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about specifically. You know, you get a nice microfiber cloth with the CKF logo embossed on it. You get a sticker, and you get a COA card with the serial number, signature of who I assume is Anton Malashev, the designer right there. It gives you kind of a breakdown of what the knife is. Not sure what the hashtag is. They give you a discount code, so very nice. But the most impressive part about this, and from what I've seen, they do this with most of their knives, they give you extra parts for literally everything except the blade and the handles themselves. Extra pocket clip, extra of the marble carbon fiber scales, extra MRBS bearing system, but actually I think these are caged. I'm just looking at these for the first time now. That's interesting. I'm not sure. Is there two sets of bearing? No, okay. Extra washers and cage bearings. Currently it has an MRBS bearing system in it, which I'm not sure if that was factory default or if it was switched out at some point. But extra body screws, extra scale screws, and an extra pivot. So that is very impressive. And all for this, I think this guy's retail was like $460. I mean, these extra parts are probably worth $100 on their own. So the detail and the care it seems that they put into their product is very impressive. And this is the first CKF knife I've owned personally, so I couldn't speak to their other models. But you know, if this is any indication, that's very impressive. But to the knife itself, this is the Sukhoi 3.0. As the name suggests, there were two previous models. I'm not sure about the first one, but I know the second, the 2.0 was a thumb stud opener. This guy, as you can tell, is a flipper. Pretty smooth opening. Closing is very smooth as well. It's more hydraulic than drop shut, similar to kind of the Shirogorov's single row bearing system, like my F95. For the knife specifically, it has bronze anodized titanium scales, or I don't know, I almost want to call this like a subframe lock, which I think is accurate, or maybe a bolster lock. I'm not 100% sure what the classification would be on this guy. Anyway, marble carbon fiber scales / bolsters, bronze anodized titanium frame, M390 blade, titanium pocket clip, and then the backspacer is very interesting. It's zirconium, you know, the signature black, very dark polished zirconium, but it's got two little blue titanium kind of strips flanking it on either side, which makes it a little bit of a pain to disassemble rather, but gives it a nice little flare and accents the pivot collars very nicely. You can see on the flipper, this is the blade steel, along with on the other side the serial number, which is very cool. CKF, as is a small company, they make very limited run of their knives, so I was a little concerned that I wouldn't get a chance to handle this guy, because I was hoping to handle it at blade, but they sold them all before I made it to the table. So it's a very cool knife. I'm sorry I bumped the camera a little bit. Smooth opening. It's a big knife, very big. I'm not sure if that carries over through the video, but I'll get into the specs in just a second. Last thing I want to talk about is kind of this cool two-tone finish they've got going on the blade. On the main grind itself, the grind is very similar to Shirogorov, and if I move some junk off of my Pelican case, we can look at how similar the grind, the kind of the blade style is to Shirogorov. You can see they kind of have that like gradual step. It's not as gradual on the Sukhoi. Sukhoi is more of an angle, or I'm sorry, more of a curve, whereas the Shirogorov, it's definitely a sharp angle. But you can see the light reflects similarly off the two of them. They're kind of a bead blast finish, a little bit higher, more satin on the Sukhoi, but and the flats are pure satin. You can see their CKF logo on that side, and this side is logoless. So if we want to get to some specs really quick, for the overall length, this guy is 9.3 inches, which is huge. And as you can see, it, you know, when you open it up all the way, you can definitely tell how long it is, with the blade coming in at just under 4 inches, at 3.98 inches. So if some states have blade length laws, or you know, your knife can't be over 4 inches, this might put you in a dicey situation if you ever got called on it. So, but blade just under 4 inches, with handle making up 5.3 inches, so it's big. And honestly, like when I put it in my Pelican case, I keep all my knives tipped down, and it honestly sits like an inch above the other ones, and that just kind of really made me realize how big it was. But for a big knife, it really feels nice in the hand. There's a lot of interior milling on the. Let's see if we can actually see some of that. There's a lot of interior milling. Yeah, you can go on the inside of those titanium scales, as well as you have the marble carbon fiber, which, you know, if they weren't there, it'd be lighter, but it's still super light with them. So that all that keeps the weight right around just under 5 ounces, which is big, but you know, kind of a good metric is, you know, 1 ounce for every inch of blade. So it, you know, going with that rule, it's a little bit heavy, but it's all personal preference. So the MSRP on this guy was $465, and I managed to get it at $320, so I was pretty happy about that. And I actually just sold it today for $425. So I'm glad that I was able to have this pass through my collection and make a little bit of money off it at the same time, because I am gonna try and get another Russian knife, Shirogorov 111, and then I'm also actually going to try and update this guy. I sold this guy today as well, so I will be using these two knives to finance getting a 111 from Recon 1, and then I will also try and get an Aquamarine Hati in the Alutex. So I'm going to miss this guy, because it's one of the old ones with carbon fiber and Van-X, which is discontinued on the production ones, but the new ones are so much nicer. But back to the main point, we can do actually while we have the Hati out, we can do a little size comparison. Hati is not a small knife either. Shirogorov makes, you know, big knives besides the Neon, kind of the Neon series. But if we line these guys up with the pivots, you can tell that it kind of gains a little extra size at the butt of the handle and at the tip of the knife, but really not a whole lot bigger than the Hati. So, but yeah, very, very high quality, which, you know, comes with them being in small batches. But I was really happy to get a chance to check this off my list, but to also pass it along to the next person. So there you go. This has been the Custom Knife Factory Sukhoi 3.